Oh God, I'm engaged to a Douglas fir. Help! Unicorn, where are you?
Mythical beasts, alcoholic skeletons, and big-breasted trees, I am the Wiz. Thank you again for watching. If you are interested in more reviews that I do 3 a week on the channel, so check that out if you are interested, and please subscribe if you are. Today I am reviewing the 1982 animated film The Last Unicorn, directed by Arthur Rankin Jr. and Jules Bass, which is Rankin and Bass. Honestly, the reason why I chose this is because I've heard a lot about this film, and honestly, I have never watched it. In fact, I don't think I've ever watched a Rankin and Bass. No, that's not true. I've watched some of their Christmas specials. I know I've done that at least once. So I was very interested in checking this out, because it seems to be like a cult following for this movie specifically. Alright, so let's get into the review of The Last Unicorn, and I gotta say, when I began watching this film, I was surprised by how gorgeous the animation is in this film. The film seems to evoke this medieval art style. Now, sometimes it looks like medieval art in the way they do like transitions from other scenes, but even when the film is in motion, it really feels like a painting from that time. And I think that the way that they made these characters and the backgrounds and everything, I thought was actually really good. I was very surprised by how much I like the animation and the way it looks. And you know what's also very good in this film that I was surprised by, which is the music. The band America does some songs for this movie, and they surprisingly fit very well, even though they're kind of cheesy in a way, but I actually found myself being calmed and pretty much enjoying it. I think the best way to say it is kind of groovy. I think that's kind of weird to think about, but yeah, I actually like the music. I was very surprised how it fit very well into the film. This is also a very interesting story involving myths. So, of course, it's about the last unicorn, and it deals with a lot of different mythologies in this world. I found this story to be very interesting. I also like that the film doesn't pull punches all that much. Now, this is a children's film, but I don't think it really talks down to its audience. I think it actually trusts them to be okay with certain things, such as like violence and maybe even a little sexuality in the film. So I was very surprised with that, and I actually thought that was very good. I think the voice acting is also really good in this film. I think Mia Farrow is very good as the unicorn. I also really like Christopher Lee as the main villain, and honestly, I actually liked Alan Arkin as the wizard. I thought he was pretty good as well, even though I can tell at times it was Alan Arkin. That's usually a pet peeve of mine when it comes to voice acting, but yeah, that's fine. The only voice actor I did not like was Jeff Bridges, who played Prince Lear in the film, and mainly it was because I can instantly tell that it was Jeff Bridges. It's like he didn't even try. It's like he was just reading lines throughout the film. I don't think it's necessarily bad, but it's distracting when I'm hearing this voice. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Jeff Bridges, all right. Yep, that is definitely Jeff Bridges. The only issue I honestly have with the film, it's not really an issue with the film, but it's something that I discussed in the review we did a couple of years back of An American Tail, and it's that this film occupies like a no man's land when it comes to children's movies. And what it is that for today's kids, I think a lot of parents will think this is inappropriate. But for adults, I don't think you'll get new adults who will actually enjoy this film all that much, unless they're really into animation. So it's in this weird no man's land where you have to be specifically into film and animated films in order to actually give it a shot and possibly enjoy it, which is kind of a shame because I think this is a really high quality film. I think the animation is just gorgeous in this film at times. And I like how, even though it's meant for kids, it still feels strangely adult in certain aspects. And it doesn't talk down to children who might want to watch this film. I think that's what's really missing in a lot of films and a lot of media that is meant for kids today. It talks down to them constantly, and it doesn't give them the believability that they may be able to handle certain subjects, a certain subject matter. But that's mainly because I think parents are much more aware of what's in shows and are much more defensive as to showing kids certain things that they are not comfortable with. So that's mainly why that is. I would have to say, like, if you have a child that can handle a little more mature stuff and doesn't mind maybe the antiquated animation, which I still think is really good, I would really recommend The Last Unicorn. I was very surprised by it, and I definitely enjoyed it myself watching this. All right, so before we get into my rating, let's get into what other people think of The Last Unicorn. Letterboxd users have this at a 3.7 out of 5. Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 75%. I was a bit surprised by this. I thought this would have been like in the 80s and 90s, but 75 is where it was. And it did not get any Oscar nominations. When I initially thought about reviewing this, I was going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. But honestly, I think this is a 4 out of 5. I think this film does a lot of different things that I think a lot of animated films just don't do anymore, and it does it incredibly well. I think the animation is just really good. And it evokes this medieval art style that I wish more animated films would actually try and implement. I think the music is actually surprisingly good, even though it kind of doesn't fit. It's weird. It doesn't fit, but yet it does in a very weird way. I think the story involving myths and the unicorn is actually very interesting. And the voice acting is good, except for Jeff Bridges, which I went over. I just feel bad because I see a lot of parents reading about what's in this film and saying, nope, not for my kid. But I think some kids would actually enjoy this. But the other problem as well, it's not really for adults either. This is a very simple story. The characters are very, I guess, one-dimensional in a sort of way, but it's still a beautiful and interesting film that I think if you are interested in animated films, that you should really give this a shot. All right, so 4 stars for The Last Unicorn. It is free on Peacock, so if you want to check it out, just go on to Peacock, and you can check it out there. All right, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.
Of the last unicorn, I'm alive.
Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please like it. If you didn't, please subscribe. And if you have questions or comments, go ahead and leave a comment whether you liked it or not. It just helps, you know. If you want my written reviews, you can go onto my Letterboxd at IamThatWiz, or you can go to my website at IamTheWiz.com. Thank you very much again for watching. See you next time.